Hello everyone, welcome to History and Culture. The fifth emperor of the Ming dynasty, Emperor Xuanzong of Ming. Zhu Zhanji, was a monarch known for his well-rounded talents in both civil and military affairs, and for his free-spirited character. Not only was he remarkably gifted, but he also laid the foundation for the flourishing era known as the Renxian governance, making him one of the most important pioneers of his time. However, instead of fully realizing his ambitions and enjoying the splendor of peace and prosperity, he suddenly passed away at the young age of 36. His unexpected death left behind countless mysteries and has since become a popular topic of discussion. Why would such a capable emperor die so suddenly? Why was his life cut short so abruptly? And how did he ascend to the throne step by step? What unknown stories lie behind it all? According to historians, while Emperor Chengzu of Ming, Zhu was still in power, he struggled greatly over who should be named crown prince. Zhu had three sons, the eldest, Zhu Gaochi, the second, Zhu Gaoxiu, and the third, Zhu Gaosui. Traditionally, the eldest son Zhu Gaochi should have been made crown prince. However, Zhu had a preference for his second son Zhu Gaoxiu, who was bold and strong-willed, qualities that reminded him of himself and, in his view, more befitting of an emperor. In contrast, Zhu Gaochi had a gentle temperament, acted steadily, and did not strive or compete. Though he was benevolent and filial, he did not exhibit strong political ambition. This stood in stark contrast to Zhu's ideal image of a successor. Thus, deep down, Zhu truly wished to name Zhu Gaoxiu as the crown prince. But to depose the eldest son and install the second son instead was not an easy task at the time. Although there were historical precedents for such actions, they often led to political turmoil and threatened national stability. Many ministers at court were staunchly opposed to this change, and Zhu knew that insisting on it would be a gamble. As a result, Zhu confided his dilemma to his most trusted minister, Xie Jin, hoping to hear his opinion. Xie Jin, one of Zhu's closest advisors, held considerable sway in the emperor's heart. To Zhu's surprise, Xie Jin did not hesitate in expressing his view. He firmly believed that Zhu Gaochi, the eldest son, should be appointed crown prince. He pointed out that, since ancient times, the principle of establishing the legitimate eldest son had been the cornerstone of imperial succession. This tradition was also essential to maintaining the nation's long-term stability. Though mild in character, Zhu Gaochi was virtuous and filial and would surely govern the country well. If Zhu insisted on appointing the second son instead, it might incite conflict and cause chaos. After listening, Zhu fell silent. Seeing this, Xie Jin added, Zhu Gaochi also has an exceptionally talented son, Zhu Zhanji. This child is intelligent and virtuous, a worthy grandson of the emperor, and will certainly grow into a great leader. He should also be designated as heir. At this point, Zhu finally smiled. His doubts about naming the second son began to fade. Thus, Zhu Gaochi was officially named crown prince, and Zhu Zhanji was tacitly acknowledged as the future heir to the throne. Thanks to Xie Jin's frank advice, this palace crisis was resolved, not only stabilizing the imperial succession but also laying the groundwork for the Ming dynasty's future peace and prosperity. However, history always takes unexpected turns. Although Zhu Gaochi did ascend the throne as expected, he reigned for only 9 months, before suddenly passing away, catching everyone off guard. A recently stabilized political situation was once again disrupted. This was a significant blow to the Ming dynasty. But the nation could not go a day without an emperor. After deliberation among the ministers, they decided that Zhu Gaochi's son, Zhu Zhanji, would inherit the throne. The first thing Zhu Zhanji did after his coronation was implement reforms. He was deeply concerned about the lives of his people, even while still in the palace. He often worried about the suffering of those in the common world. Thus, upon taking power, he immediately began reducing taxes, allowing the people to live and work in peace. In military affairs, he was equally diligent. He worked actively to strengthen border defenses, to prevent invasions by nomadic tribes. Not only did he oversee operations from the capital, but he also personally inspected the frontiers to relieve pressure there. His dedication to governance was evident to all. Even at night, he would visit ministers' residences to discuss state matters in person. For the sake of national stability and prosperity, he practically worked himself to exhaustion. Thanks to his efforts, the nation grew significantly stronger, and entered what later generations would praise as the golden age of Renxian governance. Yet sadly, in 1435, Zhu Zhanji died suddenly at the peak of his life, at the age of only 36. At that time, he was leading the country toward prosperity, and his sudden death shocked the entire court and nation. The cause of his death became one of history's enduring mysteries. Zhu Zhanji's passing once again plunged the Ming dynasty into a period of uncertainty. So, what exactly caused his untimely death? There are several theories regarding the cause of Zhu Zhanji's death. The first theory is that he died from overwork. It is well known that during the reign of the Ming dynasty's founding emperor, Zhu Yuanzhang, the position of prime minister was abolished, and the emperor personally managed the 6 ministries, resulting in an overwhelming administrative burden. When Zhu Zhanji ascended the throne, state affairs were similarly demanding, leading some to believe that he died from exhaustion. However, this theory is not very convincing. Although there was no prime minister in the early Ming period, the cabinet system was established during the reign of Zhu Di, the Yongle emperor. By the time of Zhu Zhanji, the cabinet system had matured, allowing it to effectively share the burden of governance. Moreover, many ministers at the time were highly capable, and Zhu Zhanji didn't need to personally oversee every matter. He also delegated certain responsibilities to trusted eunuchs. Therefore, the claim that he died from overwork lacks sufficient evidence. Besides, Zhu Zhanji wasn't one to focus solely on statecraft. He had his own hobbies and interests. He enjoyed painting and poetry and was fond of cricket fighting and hunting. He even painted a piece titled Hunting Scene himself. Clearly, his life wasn't devoid of leisure and enjoyment. So the idea that he died purely from overwork doesn't align well with the facts. The second theory suggests that he died from metal poisoning. Historically, many emperors were obsessed with the idea of immortality and often consumed alchemical elixirs. Some speculate that Zhu Zhanji might have pursued longevity and consumed too many pills, leading to poisoning and death. But the problem is, historical records contain no mention of him taking such elixirs. Immortality pills, while mysterious, were not taboo topics. Had he taken them, court historians likely would have documented it. The absence of such records makes this theory unlikely. Others believe he may have died from lead poisoning. This theory relates to 2 of his hobbies, cricket fighting and using incense burners. He reportedly commissioned the creation of specialized cricket jars and incense burners. These items contained a substance known as Yun white water lead, a type of lead. While lead is indeed toxic, a fatal dose must exceed 50 grams and is mainly harmful when ingested. In other words, simply handling these jars wouldn't be fatal, unless he brewed tea with them. But logically, no one would use such items for drinking, so this theory is also somewhat far-fetched. The third theory is more plausible, a hereditary illness. Ming emperors generally did not live long. Aside from the founding emperor Zhu Yuanzhang and his son Zhu Di, who lived into their 60s, most other emperors died young. From Zhu Di's generation onward, the average lifespan of Ming emperors sharply declined, with many dying before 40. Some attribute this to the overall shorter lifespans in ancient times. But officials and aristocrats of that era, who had ample food and access to medical care, often lived into their 60s or 70s. This suggests that the short lifespans in the royal family were not due to social conditions, but likely stemmed from hereditary issues. The root of this problem may trace back to Empress Su. She was selected by Zhu Yuanzhang to be Zhu Di's wife and was physically frail to begin with. Her health declined significantly after childbirth. More critically, her siblings in the Su family also had short lifespans, many died in their 40s. This strongly indicates the presence of a hereditary disease within the Su lineage, possibly related to cardiovascular conditions. As such, Ming emperors often deteriorated rapidly after falling ill, a pattern consistent with such genetic illnesses. According to some historians, the early death of Emperor Xuanzong Zhu Zhanji was a great loss. He was a rare monarch who governed diligently and cared for the people. Had he lived a few more years, he might have further consolidated the flourishing age he helped establish and prolonged the Ming dynasty's golden era. It is truly regrettable. This is the History and Culture channel. Liking and subscribing are the greatest help and support to us. Thank you everyone and see you in the next time.